Morning students of class 9, you are welcome back to the e-classes now. Let us continue our lesson in history. We are doing socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. So now we have reached to 4.3, that is the subtitle Stalinism and collectivization. So during Lenin's government, the peasants were given lands. The land from the nobles, land from the big landlords were confiscated and it was distributed among the peasants. But once Lenin died and Stalin took over the government, he confiscated all the lands from the kulaks and from the peasants, and the land was used for collective farming. Now let us see. After 1917, land had been given over to the peasants during Lenin's time. Land was given over to the peasants. These small size peasants farms, could not be modernized. They could not be modernized to produce more food grains. The small land holdings could not be used to grow more food, or the machineries could not be used there because the land holdings were very small. These land holdings were distributed among the peasants. So it was thought that these small land holdings will not produce more food, or it cannot be modernized. So to develop modern farms and run them along industrial lines, because the industry was also constructed, industry was there, and to produce raw materials for industry also they require land. So to develop modern farms and run them along with industrial lines with machinery. So farming and industry go hand in hand. The farm will supply raw materials and the industry will supply tools. So in this way, along the industrial lines with machinery, it was necessary to eliminate kulaks. Remove kulaks. We have already learned in our previous class. Kulaks were well-to-do peasants, rich peasants having big plots of land. They were called kulaks in Russia. So these kulaks have to be eliminated. Take away the land from peasants, not only kulaks, from small peasants. All the land had to be taken away and set up state-controlled large farms. State control means it has to be nationalized. The land has to be nationalized and collective farm controlled by the state. So in this way, the peasants had to work in these state-controlled collective farms. So Stalin, they adopted this method, took over the land from the kulaks and peasants, and the land was state-controlled and collective farming was done, and the peasants had to work there. From 1929, the party, Stalin's party, because Lenin was not there, Lenin died already, he died. After 1929, the party forced all the peasants to cultivate in collective farms, state-controlled collective farms. Peasants were forced to work in the collective farms, and the profit was shared, among the peasants. So many of the peasants refused. We do not want to work in the collective farms. You have taken our land, we need our land back. The enraged peasants, enraged means angry. The peasants were angry because all their lands had been taken away by Stalin. Previously the land was given to them by Lenin. Vladimir Lenin. But now Stalin took over all the land from the peasants and kulaks, and enraged peasants resisted. Resisted means they did not want to work. Resisted the authorities and destroyed their livestock. They resisted their authorities, government authorities, and destroyed their livestock. Between 1929 and 1931, within these 2 years, the number of cattle fell by 1/3. The number of cattle fell down by 1/3. So they destroyed their cattle. Those who resisted, those peasants who resisted to work in the collective, state-controlled collective farms, were severely punished. Those people, peasants, who did not want to work in the state-controlled collective farms under the government, they were severely punished, or sometimes they were exiled, they were sent away from the country, or deported, sent to other areas. Deported means they were sent to other areas to work in the mine or work in the factory or somewhere else. So these people were punished. Peasants' refusal to work in the state-controlled collective farm. They refused to work due to various reasons. There were many reasons why these peasants refused to work in collective farms. We'll talk about that in our next class. So that's all for today. Thank you for your watching and your presence and your attention. Thank you very much. We'll meet in the next class and we'll talk about more about collective farming or collectivization, Stalinism and collectivization. So 4.3, this is the title of the chapter, this is the subtitle, and for the subtitle here is a number. The number is given in your book as well. You go through the number and you can read at home also. But here, if you go through online portal, it will be very easy for you to understand a lot of it. So that's all for today. We'll meet in the next class and continue on this. Thank you for watching. You can take the screenshot if you want, like this, and copy the notes when you are offline.